Good evening. Who here likes sleep? I think all students love sleep. When I was in university, I averaged, 5.5 hours a day. And since then, I've continued on that, which leaves me a lot of time to not just get things done, but a lot of time to think. So one of the things that what I go through is when I think is I try to come up with rhymes and reasons to why I do things the way I do. And tonight I hope to share that with you. One of the biggest challenges I find with young people today is always, how do you make a decision? What kind of career should I be involved in? What should I study? What kind of good works can I do in life? What are these things that drive me to be me? And so I've come up with 5 things that hopefully you can use to weigh things out. The first letter is always the same. It's the letter F. So this one is about fun. The first thing I always weigh out in life is fun, because when we start off as kids, that's what we want. We want to just play. We want to play hard, and we want to continue that even into our university days. And somewhere along there, maybe reality will hit, and then we realize that there's other things that we need to be responsible for. But fun is important in our life, because if we take away fun, what's the reason for living? The next one is fame. Why do I say fame? Well, fame could be just simple recognition. Sometimes recognition of your work. Sometimes it's recognition from your peers. Sometimes it's being, casted as a model, like Tom there, right? For himself. The thing when we look at it is that sometimes we do things for recognition. Sometimes we use it as a stepping stone, but a lot of times it's just so that we can feel that we have accomplished something of worth. The third F that I go into is the important F, which is finance. Especially when you talk about working in a career, finance becomes something that's very important to us. Because at the end of the day, if we can't make ends meet, well, we gotta either find a rich husband, a sugar daddy, a sugar mommy, or something like that. Because at the end of the day, if we wanna do something that's always fun, we gotta figure out how to support it. And it's not that money makes the world go around. It's the fact that we need money to afford the things that we need to live on. We live in Vancouver. Housing prices through the roof. If we don't weigh this in, then maybe we have to move to Lethbridge, Alberta, or something like that. The next F is fulfillment. Sometimes we need to do things just for a sense of being human. For instance, Vancouver, we're a very green city. We always think about the environment, and we should. And sometimes we should get involved in acts that really promote what we believe in. And what we believe in could come from our parents. It could come from religion. It's what makes us us. So sometimes we'll do things just because something has been instilled in us. Now, what is the final F? Well, the final F is the future. Most of you here are students, and if you're students, that's one thing you look for. Because what you're doing now is for later. I don't know about you. Who wants to be a professional student? I never really thought of that. I always thought of myself as, hating school so much that when I got out from my undergrad, I was like never gonna go to school again. I have 3 degrees, and I don't know why I keep going back, but that happens. But we think about our future, and it doesn't end once we get into a career, because it continues. Because someday, we want to be that happy old couple on a scooter riding around with a carefree attitude. But we can't do that if we don't plan things correctly. So these are the 5 different Fs. The dream is, imagine if you could find a job that gives you everything. But unfortunately, the harsh reality is that that doesn't happen. So how do we weigh it out? Where is the balance in that? Well, I wanted to give you a few examples. The first one is education. If you look at education, you're betting on the future. Sure, there's fulfillment, especially if your parents are the type of parents that I had. Asian, A means average. But we all know that the finance part, we're paying, we're not really, unless you're a brilliant student. I'm sure there's some here that have scholarships. But when we move on to the next step in life and we're in our career, well, the finance part takes importance. Sometimes we'll do it and we'll have jobs that maybe aren't that fun. hopefully you can have that mix where you get some of that fun into the work that you do. Or you might have to visit BC Liquor Store a little more often. Next one is volunteerism. Part of me is giving back, and I hope part of you is giving back as well. Volunteerism is what makes me feel that value around people, that I actually care about people. And I hope that you guys can look at different ways that you can get involved in that. We use this in our office for project selection as well. When we pick what projects we want to get involved in, it's things like this, because it's fun. Yeah, finance could have been better, but we had to sponsor part of this. But we built a really cool race car that was worth about, I think, $600,000. So, sometimes we're going to do things that are just for fun. This is another program that we did for the Jaguar XC launch. We converted Zellers, the old Zellers in Oak Ridge, to look like that. Does that look like Zellers to you? Hopefully not, because we tried and spent a lot of time and energies to make it look like that. And we always work with young people. One of our clients in Canada, we go out and do these university events where we engage young people. And we do things with social media. We do things with data capture. But you can see the chart on the left shows you what we weigh it out as, what I weigh it out as before we take on the project. Because in reality, that's the thing that we need to learn, is that you can't have it all, but hopefully there's balance. So remember the 5 F's: fun, fame, finance, fulfillment, and future. Thank you.